The Awakening in the Stars. Ethan Cross opened his eyes to a world that was both familiar and alien. The soft hum of machinery surrounded him, a sound that reminded him of the spaceship he had called home for the past 6 months. But this was different. The air smelled faintly of something sweet, like honey and stardust, and the light that filtered through his eyelids was a soft, ethereal blue. He groaned, his head pounding as if he had been hit by a meteor. Memories flashed in fragments, his ship, the mission, a blinding light, and then nothing. He tried to sit up, but his body felt heavy, as if gravity itself was conspiring against him. As his vision cleared, he realized he was lying on a sleek, silver platform that seemed to pulse gently beneath him. The walls of the room curved gracefully, adorned with intricate patterns that glowed faintly. It was beautiful, but it was not his ship. "You're awake," a voice said, melodic and soft, yet filled with an otherworldly resonance. Ethan turned his head, his heart skipping a beat as his eyes landed on the source of the voice. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with a faint golden hue, as if she had been dipped in sunlight. Her hair, a cascade of silver strands that seemed to flow like liquid, framed a face that was both exotic and breathtakingly beautiful. Her eyes, large and almond-shaped, glowed with a soft violet light, and her lips curved into a gentle smile. She wore a form-fitting suit that seemed to be made of light itself, hugging her figure in a way that was both elegant and alluring. Who are you?" Ethan managed to croak, his voice rough from disuse. "I am Zara," she said, stepping closer. Her movements were graceful, almost hypnotic. "And you, Ethan Cross, are aboard the luminous vessel Astralis." Ethan's mind raced. "How do you know my name? Where's my ship? My crew?" Zara tilted her head, her silver hair shimmering as she moved. "Your ship was damaged in a cosmic anomaly. We detected your distress signal and brought you here. As for your crew, they were not as fortunate." Ethan's heart sank. "They're gone." Zara's expression softened, and for a moment, Ethan thought he saw a flicker of sadness in her violet eyes. "I am sorry. We could only save you." Ethan closed his eyes, the weight of the loss pressing down on him. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to focus. "Why me? Why did you save me?" Zara hesitated, her gaze drifting to the glowing patterns on the walls. "My species, the Luminos, have been observing your kind for some time. Humans are fascinating. Your resilience, your creativity, your capacity for emotion. When we found you, I convinced my superiors to bring you aboard. I wanted to learn more about you." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "So I'm your science experiment?" Zara's lips curved into a small smile. "Not an experiment. A guest. You are free to explore the Astralis, and I will answer any questions you have. But returning you to your home, that is more complicated." Ethan frowned. "Complicated how?" "Earth is a protected planet," Zara explained. "Your species has not yet achieved interstellar travel on your own. Galactic law prohibits direct contact with underdeveloped civilizations. Bringing you here was unconventional." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, trying to process everything. "So what happens now?" "Now," Zara said, her voice softening, "we learn from each other. And perhaps, in time, we can find a way to return you to your world." Ethan looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time since waking up, he felt a flicker of hope. There was something about Zara, something that drew him in. Her beauty, yes, but also her curiosity, her kindness. She was unlike anyone he had ever met. "All right," he said finally. "Where do we start?" Zara's smile widened, and she extended a hand. "Come. I will show you the Astralis." As Ethan took her hand, he felt a jolt of electricity, a connection that went beyond the physical. Her skin was warm, almost glowing, and her touch sent a shiver down his spine. He stood, his legs shaky but steady enough, and followed her as she led him through the ship. The Astrolese was a marvel of technology and beauty. The corridors were lined with glowing panels that shifted colors as they walked, and the air was filled with a soft, melodic hum. Zara explained that the ship was powered by a combination of solar energy and something she called stellar resonance, a concept that was far beyond Ethan's understanding. They passed through a large atrium filled with plants that seemed to glow with an inner light. Zara called it the celestial garden, a place where the crew could relax and connect with nature. Ethan couldn't help but marvel at the beauty of it all. "This is incredible," he said, his voice filled with awe. "I've never seen anything like it." Zara smiled, her violet eyes sparkling. "There is much more to see. But first, you must be hungry." Ethan realized she was right. His stomach growled loudly, and Zara laughed, a sound that was like music to his ears. "Come," she said, leading him to a small dining area. The table was set with dishes that looked both alien and delicious. Zara gestured for him to sit, and as he did, she placed a plate in front of him. "This is called luminara," she explained. "It is a staple of our diet. I think you will find it satisfying." Ethan took a bite, and his eyes widened in surprise. The food was unlike anything he had ever tasted, sweet, savory, and somehow, alive. It filled him with a warmth that spread through his entire body. "This is amazing," he said between bites. "Thank you." Zara watched him with a curious expression, her head tilted slightly. "It is fascinating to see how you experience things. Your senses are so vibrant." Ethan chuckled. "I guess that's one way to put it." As they ate, Zara asked him questions about Earth, about his life, his dreams. Ethan found himself opening up to her in a way he hadn't with anyone before. There was something about her that made him feel safe, understood. And as the hours passed, Ethan realized that he was no longer just a guest on the Astrolese. He was becoming a part of something bigger, something that he couldn't yet fully understand. But with Zara by his side, he was ready to find out. The forbidden connection. Ethan's days aboard the Astrolese began to blur into a rhythm of discovery and wonder. Each moment with Zara felt like stepping into a dream, one where the boundaries of reality seemed to dissolve. She showed him the ship's vast archives, filled with holographic records of countless civilizations, their histories, and their achievements. Ethan was captivated, but it was Zara's presence that held his attention the most. Her laughter was like the soft chime of distant stars, and her curiosity about humanity was endless. She asked him about Earth's oceans, its mountains, its cities, and its people. In turn, Ethan found himself drawn to her world, her species, and the way she saw the universe. One evening, as they stood in the celestial garden, Zara turned to him with a question that caught him off guard. "What is love like for humans?" she asked, her violet eyes glowing with genuine curiosity. Ethan hesitated, unsure how to explain something so complex. "It's hard to describe. It's a feeling, deep and powerful, like gravity pulling you towards someone. It's wanting to be with them, to protect them, to share everything with them." Zara tilted her head, her silver hair shimmering under the garden's soft light. "And do humans feel this for others outside their species?" Ethan's heart skipped a beat. "It's rare, but it happens. Love doesn't always follow the rules." Zara's gaze lingered on him, and for a moment, the air between them seemed to hum with unspoken words. She stepped closer, her hand brushing against his. The touch sent a jolt through him, warm and electric. "Your species is so emotional," she said softly. "It's beautiful, but also dangerous. Emotions can cloud judgment, lead to conflict. They can also bring people together," Ethan replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "They can create something stronger than anything else." Zara's eyes searched his, and for the first time, Ethan thought he saw a flicker of vulnerability in her. "My people value logic and order above all else. Emotions are seen as unpredictable. Forbidden, even. Is that why you're so curious about me? Ethan asked, a small smile playing on his lips. Zara's cheeks flushed a deeper gold, a sign of her species' equivalent of a blush. Perhaps. You are unlike anyone I've ever known. The moment hung between them, charged with something neither of them could name. But before either of them could speak, a voice interrupted. Zara. They turned to see a tall, imposing figure standing at the entrance of the garden. His skin was a deep, metallic blue, and his eyes glowed with a cold, calculating light. This was Commander Vera, Zara's superior and the leader of the Astrolese. Commander, Zara said, her voice steady but with a hint of tension. This is Ethan Cross. I was just showing him the garden. Vera's gaze shifted to Ethan, and Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. There was something in those eyes, something that felt like a warning. I see, Vera said, his voice deep and resonant. Mr. Cross, I trust you are finding your stay enlightening. It's been incredible, Ethan replied, forcing a smile. Zara's been a great guide. Vera's expression didn't change. Good. But remember, you are here as a guest, not a permanent resident. Our laws are clear about contact with underdeveloped species. Zara stepped forward, her voice firm. Ethan is not a threat, Commander. He's here to learn, just as we are learning from him. Vera's eyes narrowed slightly, but he said nothing. Instead, he turned and left, his presence lingering like a shadow. Once he was gone, Ethan let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. He doesn't like me much, does he? Zara sighed, her shoulders relaxing. Vera is cautious. He believes in following the rules, no matter the cost. And what do you believe? Ethan asked, his eyes searching hers. Zara hesitated, then took his hand in hers. I believe that sometimes, the rules are meant to be questioned. Her touch sent a warmth through him, and for the first time, Ethan allowed himself to imagine what it might be like to stay here, with her, in this strange and beautiful world. As the days passed, Ethan and Zara grew closer. They spent hours exploring the ship, discussing their worlds, and sharing stories. Ethan taught her about human music, and in return, Zara showed him the luminous art of stellar harmony, a form of expression that used light and sound to create breathtaking displays. One night, as they stood on the observation deck, watching the stars streak by in a blur of light, Zara turned to him with a question that made his heart race. Ethan, have you ever loved someone? The question caught him off guard, but he answered honestly. I've cared for people, but I've never felt the kind of love that changes everything. Not until now. Zara's eyes widened, and for a moment, she seemed at a loss for words. Ethan, He reached out, his hand gently cupping her cheek. I don't know what this is, Zara, but I know it's real. And I don't care if it's forbidden. I just want to be with you. Zara's breath hitched, and for the first time, Ethan saw tears glistening in her violet eyes. Ethan, I feel it too. But this is dangerous. If Vera finds out. Let him, Ethan said, his voice firm. I'm not afraid. Zara leaned into his touch, her hand covering his. Neither am I. In that moment, as the stars burned brightly around them, Ethan and Zara crossed a line that neither of them could come back from. Their connection was no longer just curiosity or friendship. It was something deeper, something that defied the laws of their worlds. But as they stood there, lost in each other, neither of them noticed the shadowy figure watching from the doorway, his glowing eyes filled with disapproval. The trials of trust. The days that followed were a whirlwind of stolen moments and whispered confessions. Ethan and Zara's connection deepened, their bond growing stronger with each passing hour. But as their feelings for each other blossomed, so did the tension aboard the Astrolese. Commander Vera's presence loomed like a storm cloud, his disapproval evident in every glance and every carefully chosen word. One afternoon, as Ethan and Zara worked together in the ship's archives, Vera appeared unexpectedly. His metallic blue skin seemed to shimmer with an icy light, and his 4 eyes focused on them with an intensity that made Ethan's stomach twist. "Zara," Vera said, his voice cold and measured, "a word." Zara hesitated, her violet eyes flickering to Ethan before she nodded. "Of course, Commander." Vera led her to a secluded corner of the room, his voice low but carrying enough for Ethan to catch fragments of their conversation. Dangerous, emotional attachment against protocol. Ethan's heart sank as he realized what they were discussing. He tried to focus on the holographic display in front of him, but his mind was elsewhere. When Zara returned, her expression was unreadable. "What did he say?" Ethan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Zara sighed, her shoulders tense. "He's concerned. About us. About what our connection could mean for the mission." "And what do you think?" Ethan asked, his eyes searching hers. Zara hesitated, then took his hand in hers. "I think we need to be careful. Vera is powerful, and he won't hesitate to separate us if he thinks we're a threat." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I won't let that happen." Zara's expression softened, and she squeezed his hand. "Neither will I, but we need to be smart about this. We can't let our emotions cloud our judgment." Ethan nodded, though the weight of their situation pressed heavily on him. He knew Zara was right, but the thought of losing her was unbearable. That evening, Ethan found himself alone in the celestial garden, the soft glow of the plants providing a comforting light. He sat on a bench, his mind racing as he tried to make sense of everything. "You look troubled." Ethan turned to see Zara standing behind him, her silver hair shimmering in the garden's light. She sat beside him, her presence instantly calming. "I can't stop thinking about what Vera said," Ethan admitted. "About us being a threat." Zara sighed, her violet eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and determination. "Vera sees the world in black and white. To him, emotions are a weakness, something to be controlled. But I believe they're a strength. They're what make us who we are." Ethan looked at her, his heart swelling with admiration. "You're amazing, you know that." Zara's cheeks flushed a deeper gold, and she smiled. "You're not so bad yourself, Ethan Cross." They sat in silence for a moment, the garden's soft hum filling the air. Then, Zara spoke again, her voice hesitant. "There's something I need to tell you. Something I've been keeping from you." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" Zara took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the glowing plants in front of them. "My people, we have a ritual. It's called the stellar bond. It's a way for 2 individuals to share their thoughts, their emotions, their very essence. It's intimate. And permanent." Ethan's eyes widened. "Like marriage?" Zara nodded. "In a way. But it's more than that. It's a connection that transcends physical boundaries. It's rare, and it's not taken lightly." Ethan's mind raced as he tried to process what she was saying. "Are you suggesting we do this?" Zara looked at him, her violet eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. "I don't know. It's a big step, and it's not something we can undo. But I feel like it's the only way we can truly be together. Without fear, without hiding." Ethan reached out, his hand gently cupping her cheek. "Zara, I don't know what to say. This is a lot." Zara leaned into his touch, her eyes closing for a moment. "I understand. It's a lot to ask. But I needed you to know. Because I love you, Ethan. And I want to be with you, no matter what." Ethan's heart swelled with emotion, and he pulled her into a tight embrace. "I love you too, Zara. More than anything." They held each other for what felt like an eternity, the garden's soft light enveloping them in a warm glow. But as they pulled away, Ethan knew they couldn't ignore the challenges ahead. "We need a plan," he said, his voice firm. A way to prove to Vera and the others that we're not a threat. That our connection is a strength, not a weakness. Zara nodded, her expression determined. I agree. But it won't be easy. Vera is powerful, and he won't give up without a fight. Ethan smiled, a spark of determination in his eyes. Then we'll fight. Together. As the days turned into weeks, Ethan and Zara began to work in secret, gathering information and allies aboard the Astrolese. They discovered that Vera had been keeping secrets of his own, including a hidden agenda that threatened not only their relationship but the fragile peace between their species. One night, as they stood on the observation deck, watching the stars streak by, Zara turned to Ethan with a question that made his heart race. Are you ready for this? She asked, her violet eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. Ethan took her hand in his grip firm and reassuring. I'm ready. As long as I'm with you, I can face anything. Zara smiled, her silver hair shimmering in the starlight. Then let's do this. Together. As they stood there, hand in hand, Ethan knew that their journey was far from over. But with Zara by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The cosmic dance. The Astrolese hummed with an undercurrent of tension as Ethan and Zara prepared for what they knew would be their greatest challenge yet. Their plan was risky, but it was the only way to prove to Vera and the Galactic Council that their connection was not a threat but a bridge between species. The heart of their plan lay in the stellar bond, the ancient Luminos ritual Zara had told Ethan about. It was a deeply personal and sacred act, one that would bind their minds and souls together in a way that transcended physical boundaries. But it was also dangerous. If something went wrong, the consequences could be catastrophic. Are you sure about this? Ethan asked as they stood in the ship's meditation chamber, a serene space filled with soft, pulsating light. Zara nodded, her violet eyes filled with determination. It's the only way, Ethan. If we can show the Council the strength of our bond, they'll have to see that our connection is a force for good, not chaos. Ethan took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. All right. Let's do this. They sat facing each other, their knees touching, and Zara reached out to take his hands in hers. Her skin was warm, almost glowing, and her touch sent a shiver of anticipation through him. Close your eyes, Zara whispered, her voice soft and soothing. Focus on my presence. Let go of everything else. Ethan did as she instructed, closing his eyes and letting his mind quiet. At first, all he could hear was the sound of his own breathing, but gradually, he became aware of something else, a soft, melodic hum that seemed to resonate deep within him. Good, Zara murmured. Now, let me in. Ethan felt a gentle pressure in his mind, like a door slowly opening. He hesitated for a moment, then allowed it to happen. The sensation was overwhelming at first, a flood of emotions and thoughts that weren't his own. But as he relaxed, the chaos began to settle, and he found himself standing in a vast, star-filled void. Zara was there, her form glowing with a soft, golden light. She smiled at him, and Ethan felt a wave of warmth and love that took his breath away. This is the stellar bond, Zara said, her voice echoing in the void. A place where our minds and souls can meet. Ethan looked around, marveling at the beauty of it all. It's incredible. Zara reached out, her hand brushing against his. This is just the beginning, Ethan. Together, we can show the Council what's possible when two species come together in trust and love. As they stood there, their connection deepened, their thoughts and emotions intertwining in a way that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Ethan felt as though he was seeing the universe through Zara's eyes, and she through his. It was a profound and intimate experience, one that left them both breathless. When they finally opened their eyes, the meditation chamber was filled with a soft, golden light. Ethan felt a sense of peace and clarity he had never known before. It worked, Zara whispered, her voice filled with awe. We're bonded. Ethan smiled, his heart swelling with emotion. Now what? Now, Zara said, her expression determined, we face Vera. The confrontation with Vera took place in the ship's council chamber, a grand hall filled with representatives from various species. The air was thick with tension as Ethan and Zara stood before the council, their hands clasped tightly together. You dare to defy galactic law, Vera demanded, his voice cold and cutting. To flaunt your emotional attachment in front of this council? Zara stepped forward, her violet eyes blazing with determination. We dare to show you the truth, Commander. Our bond is not a threat. It's a testament to what's possible when two species come together in trust and love. Vera's eyes narrowed, but before he could respond, Ethan spoke up. You're afraid, he said, his voice steady and strong. Afraid of what you don't understand. But fear shouldn't dictate our future. We have the chance to create something incredible here, something that could change the galaxy for the better. And we're not going to let you stand in our way. The room fell silent, the weight of Ethan's words hanging in the air. Then, one by one, the council members began to nod, their expressions shifting from skepticism to curiosity. Vera's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Instead, he turned and left the chamber, his departure a silent acknowledgement of defeat. As the council members began to discuss the implications of Ethan and Zara's bond, Ethan felt a surge of hope. They had done it. They had shown the galaxy the power of their connection. That night, Ethan and Zara stood on the observation deck, watching the stars streak by in a blur of light. Their hands were clasped tightly together, their bond stronger than ever. We did it, Ethan said, his voice filled with wonder. Zara smiled, her violet eyes glowing with happiness. We did. But this is just the beginning, Ethan. There's so much more we can do, so much more we can achieve. Ethan turned to her, his heart swelling with love. As long as I'm with you, I'm ready for anything. Zara leaned in, her lips brushing against his in a kiss that was both tender and passionate. In that moment, as the stars burned brightly around them, Ethan knew that their journey was far from over. But with Zara by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The revelation of humanity. The days following their victory in the council chamber were a whirlwind of change. Ethan and Zara's bond had become a symbol of hope and unity aboard the Astrolese, inspiring others to question the rigid boundaries that had long divided their species. But as their influence grew, so did the resistance from those who feared what their connection represented. Commander Vera, though silent in the council chamber, had not given up. His disapproval simmered beneath the surface, and Ethan could feel the tension whenever they crossed paths. It was clear that Vera was biding his time, waiting for the right moment to strike. One evening, as Ethan and Zara walked through the celestial garden, they were approached by a group of luminous scientists. Their expressions were a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Zara, one of them said, a tall figure with shimmering green skin, we've been discussing your bond with the human. We'd like to learn more about it. Zara smiled, her violet eyes glowing with pride. Of course. We're happy to share our experience. The scientists led them to a laboratory filled with advanced equipment. Ethan felt a pang of unease as he realized they were about to be studied, but Zara's reassuring touch calmed him. This won't hurt, she whispered. It's just a way to show them the truth. As the scientists began their tests, Ethan and Zara focused on their bond, allowing their connection to shine through. The room filled with a soft, golden light, and the scientists gasped in awe. Remarkable, one of them murmured. The synchronization is perfect. Ethan felt a surge of pride as he realized they were making a difference. But their moment of triumph was short-lived. The door to the laboratory slid open, and Vera stepped inside, his metallic blue skin glinting in the light. His expression was unreadable, but Ethan could sense the anger simmering beneath the surface. What is the meaning of this? Vera demanded, his voice cold and cutting. Zara stepped forward, her violet eyes blazing with determination. We're showing them the truth, Commander. Our bond is not a threat. It's a testament to what's possible when two species come together in trust and love. Vera's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, Ethan thought he might lash out. But instead, he turned to the scientists. "Leave us," he ordered. The scientists hesitated, then quickly filed out of the room, leaving Ethan and Zara alone with Vera. "You think you've won," Vera said, his voice low and dangerous. "But you've only delayed the inevitable. Your bond is an aberration, a violation of galactic law. It will not be tolerated." Ethan stepped forward, his jaw tight with anger. "You're afraid, Vera. Afraid of what you don't understand. But fear shouldn't dictate our future. We have the chance to create something incredible here, something that could change the galaxy for the better. And we're not going to let you stand in our way." Vera's eyes flashed with fury, but before he could respond, Zara spoke up. "Commander," she said, her voice steady and strong, "you have a choice. You can continue to fight us, or you can join us. The future is coming, whether you like it or not. The question is, will you be a part of it?" Vera stared at them for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then, without a word, he turned and left the room. As the days turned into weeks, Ethan and Zara continued to share their bond with others, inspiring hope and unity aboard the Astrolese. But the tension with Vera remained, a constant reminder of the challenges they still faced. One night, as they stood on the observation deck, watching the stars streak by in a blur of light, Ethan turned to Zara with a question that had been weighing on his mind. "Do you think we'll ever be able to go back to Earth?" he asked, his voice soft. Zara hesitated, her violet eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and hope. "I don't know, Ethan. But no matter what happens, we'll face it together." Ethan smiled, his heart swelling with love. "That's all I need." As they stood there, hand in hand, Ethan knew that their journey was far from over. But with Zara by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The final stand. The tension aboard the Astrolese reached a boiling point as Vera's resistance to Ethan and Zara's bond grew more overt. Whispers of dissent spread through the ship, and it became clear that a confrontation was inevitable. One evening, as Ethan and Zara prepared to address a gathering of luminos and other species who had begun to support their cause, the ship's alarms blared to life. "What's going on?" Ethan asked, his heart racing. Zara's expression was grim as she checked the holographic display. "It's Vera. He's locked down the ship's systems. He's trying to isolate us." Ethan's jaw tightened. "We need to stop him. Now." They made their way to the ship's control center, where Vera stood surrounded by a group of loyalists. His metallic blue skin glinted in the harsh light, and his 4 eyes glowed with cold determination. "This ends here," Vera said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Your bond is a threat to the stability of the galaxy. I cannot allow it to continue." Zara stepped forward, her violet eyes blazing with defiance. "You're wrong, Vera. Our bond is a bridge, not a threat. It's time for you to see that." Vera's expression hardened, and he raised a hand, signaling his loyalists to move in. But before they could act, the doors to the control center slid open, and a crowd of luminos and other species poured in, their expressions filled with determination. "Stand down, Vera," one of them said, a tall figure with shimmering green skin. "This is not the way." Vera's eyes widened in shock as he realized the tide had turned against him. For a moment, he seemed to waver, but then his expression hardened once more. "You're all fools," he spat. "This bond will destroy us all." Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady and strong. "No, Vera. It's fear that will destroy us. But we're not afraid anymore." Vera stared at them for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then, with a sigh, he lowered his hand. "Perhaps, you're right," he said, his voice filled with resignation. "Perhaps it's time for a change. As the ship's systems were restored and order returned to the Astrolese, Ethan and Zara stood together on the observation deck, watching the stars streak by in a blur of light. "We did it," Ethan said, his voice filled with wonder. Zara smiled, her violet eyes glowing with happiness. "We did. But this is just the beginning, Ethan. There's so much more we can do, so much more we can achieve." Ethan turned to her, his heart swelling with love. "As long as I'm with you, I'm ready for anything." Zara leaned in, her lips brushing against his in a kiss that was both tender and passionate. In that moment, as the stars burned brightly around them, Ethan knew that their journey was far from over. But with Zara by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Epilogue: A New Dawn. Months later, Ethan and Zara stood on the observation deck of a new ship, one designed to explore the galaxy and foster connections between species. Their bond had become a symbol of hope and unity, inspiring others to follow in their footsteps. As they watched the stars streak by, Ethan felt a sense of peace and fulfillment he had never known before. "We've come a long way," he said, his voice filled with wonder. Zara smiled, her violet eyes glowing with happiness. "And we've only just begun." As they stood there, hand in hand, Ethan knew that their journey was far from over. But with Zara by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The end.